Hey guys, it's Shannon, your YA book specialist, and I'm here to tell you about some of the awesome February books that have come out. We are loving so many titles this month. I can't believe how many have actually come out, and we've missed like so many times to come out and tell you what great titles have been here. So I wanted to come and just kind of go over a bunch of things we missed in February that you guys aren't going to want to miss out on, and there's still a chance to get them. So I'm going to start with something that has been we've had a bunch of favorites within the Teen Press Corps, which is our teen reviewing board. They just did some major reviews that are coming up on the blog this week, and one of them was for The Prince and the Dressmaker. So if you haven't heard about this new graphic novel, this prince right here, of course, is supposed to be being married off, finding his princess. His family's throwing him all the balls, trying to figure out like who he's gonna end up with, like where his life is gonna be going. And they keep trying to make him do this, but he's always tired and he hates doing all of this stuff, and they can't figure out why. And of course, it's because at night the prince is actually the fantastic, fabulous woman you see in this dress before you. So this is the story of a young prince who feels more at home when he's actually more of a princess. And it's going to follow like his nightly excursions and the dressmaker that helps make his dresses for him, and everything that goes into their story. And the artwork is just absolutely adorable, if you guys can see that. Great stories. I don't want to spoil anything, but look at how beautiful he gets in his dresses. So this is amazing. Our Teen Press Corps member Ivy could not, she read it the day that she read it on Valentine's Day. She said it came out on Valentine's Day. She read it. She started writing a review for it, and then she realized she just wanted to read it again because she sold the book to herself. And so she went back, read it again, and then started a review. So it was a really great story that she definitely thinks you should pick it up. It's cute, it's fun, and it's middle grade all the way to adult will love it because it talks about all of that self-acceptance and everything in the cute way that we just really need. So check that book out. I'm trying to pull this up to make sure if you guys are leaving any comments, I can see them. So just give me 2 seconds. I'm going to pull this up. Awesome. Let's hope the sound's not on because that's always the thing. And it is. Okay, perfect. So now if you guys leave comments, I can actually see them. Other things that we have that are coming out right now, if you guys have not read The Bells, this book is extraordinary. If you were at the Texas Teen Book Festival last year, you know a lot about this book because this was one of the things that we were really excited about for Texas Teen Book Festival last October. This is Danielle Clayton. She is the COO of We Need Diverse Books, and she was actually kind enough to do a huge panel and give away a bunch of ARCs of this book to a bunch of students last year, and they have all been raving about it, waiting for February. Our Teen Press Corps members that reviewed it were very upset that they could not talk about this book until a couple weeks ago, but it's a great fantasy story that also addresses a lot of things for that diverse voice and that own voices, and so it's a really fantastic read. And if you actually look on the back, like all of the blurbs are from some of the most amazing authors in YA right now. So it's a fantasy story, but it has a lot of points that really resonate outside of it. Our Teen Press Corps members that reviewed it kind of said you kind of lose sight of the fantasy for a little bit, even though there's magic and there's made up words. You kind of lose sight of the fantasy because the story is just so real and so emotional for you that you almost forget that you're in a fantasy world and you forget the struggle that is happening. So this is another one of those everybody needs to have a copy of it kind of books. So if you guys haven't stopped in to pick up The Bells yet, we do have copies, so you're definitely want to come pick that up immediately. Other things that have come out while we're on fantasy, Year One and Only came out earlier this month. This is one of those sci-fi fantasies where there are no more humans in the world. There's one left, and there's a little bit of a love story, but there's also this whole thing where somebody's been murdered, and the obvious suspect is the one human in a world where we've perfected humans, and they're basically more like cyborgs or robots. when we've already perfected that, then of course the only person who's going to be flawed enough to commit murder according to the world is going to be the one who's still a regular human. So this is a really suspenseful tale, very well written, just a great, absolute, wonderful story, and it follows both somebody who is still the number one human, but we also see a lot of the story with one of the perfected human / robot type people. So if you're into sci-fi, this is going to be an extraordinary story. Fantasy sci-fi fans, you're going to love that one. And speaking of fantasy, I am really excited about this book that I can't reach. I have been waiting for this book for a really long time. It's Sight Witch by Susan Dennard, and we actually just had her here on Tuesday, so this copy is signed and going home with me, but there are tons more for all of you who want to come in. But this, if you have not read anything from the Witchland series, it's basically Assassin's Creed meets the Legends of Korra, Avatar: The Last Airbender kind of world. So these are, generally speaking, we follow really awesome, amazing, strong women who have magical powers. Our original story followed two girls who were best friends who had amazing powers in the Witchlanders, and one of them was what was called a truth witch. She could sense whether or not people were telling the truth. The other one was a thread witch. She could sense the relationships between people. And they were being chased by a blood witch who was a guy who could control your blood. And if you guys have ever seen Avatar or Korra, then you know that that's kind of a hard person to fight because they can bend your blood the way they like waterbenders would bend and water, and they can manipulate you and keep you from doing things. And not only that, but he can track people based off the scent of their blood from pretty much any distance. So he can find that in the wind. So that's where the story kind of started. And since then, we've kind of gone into the whole like war of the worlds kind of thing. We've got a ton of magic people fighting each other, trying to, ultimately rule the different kingdoms and take over the whole world. But this is actually a prequel of sorts. This one is before any of those stories happen. This is kind of going back a little bit to see a different tale and following a different character from the story. And so this one just came out, and it's amazing. This has basically the Sight Witches are people who can see the future. They can tell what's going to happen. They can see where things are going, where they've been, kind of thing. And our main character isn't really able to do that. And when there's a problem with all of the Sight Witches, she kind of has to figure out what's going to happen. And so once again, Susan creates like this great fantasy world, and it is a prequel novella, so it's not quite as long, you'll see. It's a great place to start if you haven't ever read the Witchlanders, you're not sure if we're going to get into it. This is a great way to start. I did talk to Susan about like the read order, and for those of you who have already started the Witchlander series, she actually says you can go in that order, or you can start here. Like, it is a prequel, but it's kind of like when the Mortal Instruments prequels came out, you could still go back and things were going to kind of all tie together. So there might be characters in here that you won't recognize. Why that like comment is so funny unless you've already read the other books. So it's kind of like, it doesn't really matter which order you read it in, but if you wanted just a little taste of the Witchlanders world, picking up Sight Witch is a great way to do that. Switching gears to the contemporary world and things that are happening, we do have a graphic novel on that side as well. If you've never read Speak, this is an amazing story by Lori Halse Anderson about a girl who needs to speak out about a sexual assault case that happens, an attack that happens to her life. And it's amazing. It's very topical to be having it come back out right now, but it's actually coming out as a graphic novel. So if you want to take that subject matter and put it into the hands of pretty much anybody who may not know how to adjust that story, Speak was a great book for that, and we of course do still have the book in the store. So if you want to give somebody the book and like kind of show them like this, this does happen, there is a way to speak out about it. This is kind of the motion behind it. It's a great way to do that, but this is actually great for those people who may need to hear it in a different way. And it's, again, extraordinary artwork, and we're gonna follow. I love it because it does have that teen artwork feel. It's kind of like, it kind of does take the story and put it into a way where it's approachable and it's wonderful, and this is a great um, just an absolute way for somebody to learn that speaking out and about situations that have happened to you, about situations you've seen, about things that have happened, there's always somebody listening. And Lori Hoff Anderson does a really great way of showing kids and teens and adults that. I read Speak the book as an adult, and I still remember going to Lori and telling her thank you for writing that book, even as an adult in my like older years, already way past that time period. I was like, this book was amazing, and this is the kind of book, like, if you were 13, you wish you would have read this book at 13. So keep